Hey, welcome back to Between the Notes podcast. We've got a fun one for you today. This is part of our poll in the last episode that we're talking about performance day rituals, right? So,
Yeah, I think
what
a
do
lot of
we
people are
do?
interested in what you do on the day of a performance. How do you get yourself in the right mindset? How do you
Right,
make sure that you're ready to sing at your optimal rest, optimal voice, optimal,
right.
everything, state of mind.
Whether
And
it's a
so,
whether it's a matinee or an evening show or whatever, how do we prepare ourselves for those things? And yeah, so why you're getting ready to open some performances of Butterfly. So
yeah.
walk us through what you would do. What you might eat. How late would you sleep? What would you avoid? Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because one of the first things that came to mind is the fact that most of the time when we're performing, we're on the road.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword when you get to perform at home, and I'll go ahead and say it, get to perform, because there's
Yeah.
certainly a benefit of like sleeping in your own bed every night. But the
Sure.
difference comes when it's like normal life smacks you in the face. So like when I'm at home,
Right.
I am on daddy duty. I am driving my daughter to
Sure.
school in the morning, so I'm up at 6:30 in the morning. I'm taking her to school. I'm coming back. I'm cleaning the house. I'm like mowing the yard. You do your things when you're at home, which is also in
Right.
conjunction with learning music for my next gig, which is fine
Sure.
because Christina's at work, Millie's at school, gives me time to work on music and get all the stuff that I need to get done at home. But it doesn't necessarily provide the type of rest that you might need or be used to that you have when you're on the road. So
Sure. Sure.
while while your responsibilities are more focused around the gig when you're on the road, of course, there's also those other emotional things that are left without that I think, it's a fine balance of trying to like feel complete, right? It's like, did you get to talk to
Mm.
your kids enough? Did you get to talk to your wife?
Right.
Did you have the opportunity to get the rest that you needed? So I think sometimes those are in our control and other times they're not, right? Like one of the first things that
Yeah.
I said to one of my colleagues here at this about this hotel that we're in Fort Worth, I said, well, at least the
Hmm.
beds are great. Like we don't have, there's no kitchenette. It's just a little tiny microwave and a small fridge. And the fridge doesn't even
Right.
have the freezer part at the top. So you can't even go to the store and buy like microwavable
Get a bag
frozen
of
meals.
ice.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
right.
it's
Yeah.
so
Totally.
it's
Oh
tricky,
man.
right? So I said,
Yeah.
hey, at least the beds are comfortable, and they actually really are. Um,
Well,
and
good.
I think that's one of the most important things, right? Is the making sure that you get
Hmm.
enough rest. And so on
Quality
the day of
rest.
a
Yeah.
performance, or let's say the night before, I try to get a solid at least 8 hours of sleep because you know
Those are rookie numbers for me, baby.
I know. Woo! I don't know how you
I'm just
pull
playing. No,
12
I
or
wish I didn't
13.
need as much as. Yeah, I wish I didn't need as much as I do, or I did. I don't need as much now as I did when I was singing like that crazy rip.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, no, I mean, as you nailed it, and I remember that. I think Luciano Pavarotti in a thing would often say that the night before a show he would sleep 9 or 10 hours.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
tenor thing, but you just want to make sure because that adrenaline charge is going to come. The rush of the adrenaline is going to come, and then you've got to kind of counteract that because you're just in a heightened state of, as we all know, as performers, it just you kind of get in there, and so yeah, it might be only be 3 hours the opera that you're doing, but those 3 hours, even when you're off stage, you're charged, you're ready to go,
It's
so that you can,
intense. It's certainly
yeah,
intense, and I think that's why it's also important to keep in mind what you're fueling your body with, right? So
right,
being
quality
smart
food,
about not eating too late the night before, right? Like we all
sure,
know that eating late at night is going to cause reflux. You want to stay away from spicy foods. You want to stay away from alcohol. You want to stay away from anything
caffeine,
that's going
yeah,
to create that acid reflux. So I try, I've recently discovered, and maybe it's just because I'm in my old age era, but I've recently discovered if I eat at around 5 o'clock in the evening, 5:30, if I'm done eating by 6, I
you
feel
sleep so much
so
better.
much better physically when I go to bed at whatever time, and
Yeah.
I almost always get a better night's sleep. And so I try to do that the previous night, but then the day of, I try to make sure that it's a balanced meal, that I try to have numerous sort of smaller meals throughout the day. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's say if it's a 7:30 or an 8 p.m. show,
Right.
I'll eat lunch or I'll eat my meal at maybe like 4:30 or so, 4 o'clock,
Mm.
3:30, something like that, kind of in the middle of the day, so that it's not
Yeah.
too like I don't want to have my last thing I eat before the show be at like 11 or 12. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll
Right.
have something around then, but then I'll have like a burger or some high protein, something that's going to give me a balance of carbohydrates and proteins with vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, try to hydrate a lot. I mean, this sounds so stupid, but not too long ago, I was on a gig, and I was like, "What is going on vocally?" And I was
Mm.
like, when was the last time I drank a lot of water? You know what I mean? Like, I just
Right.
wasn't hydrating enough. And as soon as I made a point to drink some electrolytes, you know, do my coconut water or
Right.
whatever it was, I was like, oh, there you go. This is a totally different thing. And so you got to
Yeah.
keep your instrument lubricated, right? Stay
Sure.
hydrated. Um, and again, everybody
Absolutely.
has their own things, right? Everybody
Right.
um, knows what works for them and knows what causes too much reflux or knows what creates too many allergies or whatever. You know what I mean? So you
Right.
just got to be smart about it.
Yeah. I mean, Irini has become a recent fan of the nebulizer, right? So she would get one of those things and breathe it in, and like as we talked with John Price a couple episodes ago, you know, drinking water is great for hydration for tomorrow.
Right.
But if you're feeling like you need some hydration now, you want to go to one of those nebulizers
Yeah,
and
I've
go in
got
there
one
and
that's
just get
called
the.
Vocal Mist. Now I'm not connected in any way. I don't make any money from you purchasing
I
Vocal
am. I
Mist.
I, I, I I get the kickbacks from it, but I let you do this. I
Actually,
love it.
I remember seeing Isabel Leonard posting on it and I was like, are you like partnering? I mean, she probably is. I don't know.
I
She's at a
love
different
it. I love
level.
it. But yeah, it's a great tool. I mean, like depending on the time on the show time, or what I should say, depending on the time I had to get to the theater, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes Butterfly, you're on at the top, Bohem, you're on at the top, Carmen, you're sort of on at the top, but not quite. You know what I mean? But depending on the production. So anyway, I would tend to eat around 2:30 if I had to be at the theater around 5:30 or 6.
Yeah, that's
And
solid.
but that being said, I was famished after the show was over, which kind of would put me
Did you
on
ever
a
bring like a
not.
banana or a protein bar or anything like that to the theater and have it at intermission or something?
Is that real food you're talking about there?
Hey,
I
listen,
don't.
I
I
started
don't.
doing that
Oh,
recently because, like,
yeah.
for example, Traviata, my
Oh.
makeup call is at
Mm-hmm.
8 p.m., right? And
Mm,
so if I
mm-hmm.
eat at 3 o'clock and then get to the theater at
Right.
8 for my
Sure.
makeup,
Right.
and then we're
Yeah.
talking about intermission between 1 and 2, or even, like a
Right.
break between, 2 1 and 2 2 or 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Um, I realized that if I brought like a little, kind bar or a banana or something
Yeah.
like that, all of a sudden my energy's up. I don't feel any, those types of things don't necessarily affect me personally. And so
Yeah.
I felt a lot better. And then you're not famished because, to your point,
Right.
if you don't eat anything and then you finish the show, then you go out at 11 p.m. and you eat too much. And then,
I don't know what you're talking about.
do
Are you kidding me? Are you
people
kidding me?
do
No.
that?
Do people do that? Oh, come on. No, but I have to say, like, it would be something I did. I have to say, especially if they had a cafeteria or a cantina in the opera house, like the
Theater.
Met or one of the ones in Europe, where it's just
Yeah.
easy to go over and get something light. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whether it's
An
like,
apple, whatever.
yeah, or a croissant or a pain au chocolat, or like the Met used to have really yummy, like those popcorners with the white cheddar popcorners,
Oh,
the
yeah.
little triangle things,
Oh, yeah.
and
They
so like
still
that
do.
kind of stuff would be yeah, I would use and do that, or like I love like cashews or peanuts or almonds or something like that. So yeah, that I would kind of do But I just loved to go have that meal after. Either people who were coming to see the show. Usually that's what
Yeah.
it was. People who were coming to see the show, managers, friends,
Right.
stuff like that. And it just became part of the celebration of it. That just became like my, one of my favorite parts of the day, because the show went well. It went as well as it could. The check's coming. Let's go celebrate. And as my daughter, if she were a guest on this podcast, would say, Daddy loves to celebrate every day. And that's true. But maybe I could do a little
Every
less
day is a day to
celebrating,
be
honestly.
celebrated, for sure, within
I
reason.
mean, right, exactly. I've been through a lot in my life. We got to give thanks for every day and live it to the fullest. But,
Sure.
within reason, Brian, within reason.
Well, let's talk a little bit about
so
the difference between an evening show and a matinee, because that changes things
Sure.
significantly.
Yeah, I mean, so on an evening show day, I generally aim to get up around 10:30, 11. If it's a 2 o'clock show, I'm hoping to get up around 8. Even if I'm not like jogging 2 miles around the neighborhood, I need to be up. Whatever I'm going to drink, which I love my coffees, so I'll usually
Yeah.
make a coffee or go get a coffee and some kind of breakfasty, either sandwich or croissant, or whatever they've got, right? Just something that kind of get me something in my belly, so that the coffee doesn't make me reflux because there's something in there. And then I would come back and just kind of sing a little bit. Just like 10 minutes of warm-ups, nothing crazy. Wouldn't even try to kind of go above a G or something. Like, just go up to a little bit, just above passaggio,
Little
make
stretch.
sure everything's working.
Do a little
A little stretch. Exactly. So you leave it like that, and then yeah. I mean, I may or may not on a matinee day eat another meal. Probably have another snack. But then when the show's over at 6, where you're gonna find me. At a steak restaurant within 2 blocks of the stage door. Brian Email will be having a steak, or if it was at the I just love Fiorello's so much. Oh my god, I have so many
Such a
wonderful
great
memories,
restaurant.
and that
Oh my gosh.
food is so yummy. But anyway, yeah. So I would kind of do that, but Irini was especially before and even once we did have the kids, whenever we could be together on a gig, she was always like, just tell me what you want, and I kind of like got to where I wanted to have something that was pretty bland, but still, like you said, with the vegetables, the carbohydrates, and the protein. So I'd have like a pork chop, and then some brown rice, and then like a vegetable medley. And that would be what I ate around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then kind of go and do the show. But yeah, I'd say the biggest difference was just on a matinee day, I sleep pretty hard, and so I need the kind of like I'm not a morning person, so I need all of that kind of stuff to go away.
Well, and let's say this, for
theater.
any young singers that are listening, when you've got a 9 a.m. rehearsal or a 10 a.m. rehearsal, or I should say 9 a.m. audition, or a 10 a.m. rehearsal, or a 9 a.m. voice lesson in some instances. Anytime that you have to sing in the morning, I have always abided by the rule, and it was taught to me from my first voice teacher, you need to be up 3 hours before the first time you sing. So if you've got a 10 a.m. audition or a 10 a.m. rehearsal, you're up at 7 at the latest.
Right.
And you're starting to do some easy vocalizing. You're starting to do those easy stretches. You're getting up. You're stretching your body itself, getting the blood flowing.
Right.
You gotta start getting up. This like waiting until the last second and expecting your body to be able to respond is just you're kidding yourself. So I think all of that kind of comes into play. Talk a little bit about other sort of performance day rituals, not drinks or foods or, stretches or whatever, but like anything else that you would do? Any superstitions?
In fact, I was kind of the opposite. Like when I was going and singing, in the meat of my career, I needed a performance today to be as normal as possible.
Amen.
Otherwise, I just get nervous. I get
100%.
nervous, and I'd be like, oh, shit, I have 2 hours to wait now. Oh, I have 1 hour to wait now. Oh, now I'm going to makeup. Now I just would start micro analyzing every little thing, and so I don't know. I would Play my PlayStation or Xbox at the time before it was stolen from an airport. Stolen out of my luggage.
Wow.
And then I would, yeah, just kind of a lot of things that I would do is I was learning music for upcoming gigs while I was doing a gig a lot of times. And so I would just spend some time doing some quiet vocal work, whether it be translating or putting it in the score or IPA and whatever it was.
Yeah.
I would find something to keep me busy and distracted, but also still singing oriented so that,
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people who go out and play 18 holes of golf in the morning and then come home and take a shower, have something to eat, and then go to the theater. I was like, what are you doing? Are you serious? Like, my throat would be so messed up if I played 18 holes of golf.
Well,
And then went to the theater. But I mean,
to
that's
each
just
their
me.
own. But
I
it's
don't know.
important to do whatever works for you, right? Like you figure out what
Know
works
and
for
find
you.
out. Yeah, exactly. What works. So yeah, I would kind of do that, and just it's a big difference when I was on a gig by myself and when I was on a gig with the whole family.
Right.
Because when the whole family is there, as you said, sometimes it's hard because, when the kids are young, they're waking up early, they're, having, mood swings and all this other kind of stuff that you
Oh,
wish
sure.
you kind of didn't have to deal with on the day of a show. But at the same time, that's a lot to keep you distracted from, getting nervous. And I think that was something that especially in some of the higher, performance anxiety shows and the higher visibility stuff, it was like, oh yeah, I need something
Something to
kind of
ground.
keep me something to ground me, because the jobs when I was there by myself, I'd have to get out. I'd have to get out and go walking around to do something, or just to stop getting stir crazy.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So
I mean,
Yep.
taking it one step back from the performance day, you think about auditions, right? I
yeah,
have encouraged everyone that I talk to, certainly my own private students, that listen, you want to create an audition to feel like a normal part of your day. I mean, I remember when I was
right.
still in my second year at Juilliard, we would have. I mean, I was signed with Cami, and so Cami at the time, I think I did 67 auditions my first season being represented at Cami, like singing for everybody.
Right.
And there'd be weeks
Right.
where it would be 3 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, 3 on Friday. So it whether I wanted it to or
Right.
not, it just sort of became part of your normal day.
Didn't you used to keep a jacket or something in your locker at school?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
kept my audition
Right.
attire
Yeah.
in my
I
locker
remember
at
you said that. Yeah.
school. And then I would just be like, all right, well, it's time. Yeah, I should go get dressed, go to the audition, come back, done, go on with your rest of your day. So creating those opportunities of mock auditions for your students, you know what I mean? I think it's
Yeah.
so
Sure.
important that they just, because yes, a performance is a performance, and an audition is a performance. But
Right.
in our own minds and having control of our emotions and being able to do our best in those situations and not allow nerves to overcome those, I think creating those higher, I don't even know what to call it. I'm not sure I'm making any sense right now, but it's like when
No.
we're expected to try to perform in those brief
Heightened.
moments,
Right.
to create the rest of your day as meaningless, and then those only moments to be the most meaningful. It's backwards. You have to flip it and just create it as part of your normal day so that you
Yeah.
can be your best self as you go about that. And I think, for me at least, that's been something that's really helped over time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my last year at AVA, I did, probably not as many as you did because you were in the city, but I did a lot of auditions my last year at AVA that I'd have to drive in or take the train or take the bus or take the whatever.
Well, that was back also in the
Um,
day when people were hearing singers in the city. I mean, it's so
in
crazy
the
now.
city,
It's like
yeah,
they're just all they're
right.
flying to them or sending in virtual auditions or whatever it might be.
Yeah. But anyway, the point being is the more normal I could make it, the better, the more success I had. And in some ways, I kind of was psyching myself out in the sense this doesn't matter because this is one of however many auditions. It kind of bit me in the butt a little bit later when I was like, oh, so this is going to be a last minute jump in for this person. There's no way not to get nervous about this. And there's no way that if it doesn't go well, that it's not going to be a big deal. But thankfully, I, I was able to like kind of rely on the fact that I knew the things I was jumping into, I knew them backwards and forwards. I had done
Yeah.
them before. I had success there. All I needed to do was try and do and trust my work and trust my practice and trust the
The work.
preparation that I
Yeah.
did, and thankfully that it worked. Yeah, it totally worked. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, and even rehearsals can have their own. I love what you said earlier about getting up 3 hours earlier, Gerald. That Gerald had has said, but very oftentimes we've had to do 10 a.m. orchestra zits. It's terrible, but it happens because especially repertory theaters.
We have
That's when the
that coming
orchestra
up
is
next
free.
week. Or this,
Oh, there
this
you
is
go.
next Monday. I think on Thursday, we have an event that we have to do Wednesday night where we sing for donors. Then Thursday morning, 10 a.m., we have orchestra rehearsal. And so, yeah,
That's not the best planned week I've heard of, but
I agree.
the people
I
do what they
totally
can.
agree.
They do what
But
they
it's
can.
happening. And I think in order
It's
for us to
happening.
find success through those, you've got to just make sure you get enough sleep and make sure you're hydrating yourself and make sure that you're getting up in time and all those things.
And don't talk too much or too loudly at those donor events. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very easy to fall into because
Oh, yeah.
they're very excited to meet the artists, and everybody in that room wants to talk to all the singers, and
Yeah.
you should do that. And it's a very it's necessary and can be a lot of fun. Actually, I had made so many friends of patrons of opera companies that I worked with through the years who opera patrons love to travel
Oh, yeah.
and love to come and see their favorite singers sing all over the country, if not the world, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of fun, but you just got to be shrewd. You got to be smart. Okay, if you feel your voice getting a little bit like this, just say, there you go. So, but anyway, that
So I
sounds
guess
super fun.
the I was just going to say the golden rule I think for performance day, um, you know, success, you just got to find out what works for you, and I think you got to be
Yeah,
smart about it. But I think that these topics that we're talking about, staying hydrated, making sure that you're fueling yourself with the right kind of fuel, making sure you're getting enough rest, those are sort of the things that are the most important.
yeah, awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
hope you guys have enjoyed this. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, no. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that. Well, let me ask you this. Without
yeah,
naming names, can you think of
sure.
any of the craziest, wildest, most bizarre performance day rituals that you noted of any of your colleagues?
Oh wow. I mean, there are a lot of the European girls that are very superstitious,
Okay.
and they make their dressing rooms like shrines to the Blessed Mother or to whomever. They got the candles, they got the icons, they got all the kind of stuff. They're doing the sign of the cross, all this kind of stuff. I never really had anything like that, and I don't say that that's crazy. I just think that there are some people who really go the extra mile in making their dressing room very homey for them.
Which is actually, I mean, I will say
Uh,
this, and
yeah.
I will call out a name because I just have such
Oh,
respect for her as an artist, and it was a
yeah.
true highlight of my career when I got to perform with her.
Yeah.
Stephanie Blythe and I did
Mm.
Falstaff together. I was singing the
Oh, how
role of
fun.
Ford, and she was singing the role of Quickly. And I remember that when I was in my dressing room. I was like, oh, I'm going to go and say toy, toy, toy to everybody, you know. And I walked
Right.
around the corner to her dressing room, and she had like a little noise machine that had like sounds of nature. There's like a little
Oh, I love
frog like
that.
ribbiting. And I thought it was just the best thing. I was like, this is amazing. Like she created this
Yeah.
total Zen environment. And I was like,
Mm.
I love that. And since then,
Yeah.
I started using the sound effect, you know, like just creating like a
Right. One
nice
of those
little.
apps. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And
Oh, I
so,
love that.
thank you, Stephanie, if you ever listen to this. I really appreciated that. And so there are things like that that I think that can bring, like we were saying before, bring a little bit of peace and home normalcy, whatever you want to call it, when you happen to
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
wherever in the world, you know, and you're looking for that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Again, please like and subscribe, and always feel free to write and drop us a comment about something you'd like to hear us talk more about. And yeah,
We'll answer.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
Yeah,
Take care.
for sure. All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Notes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And join us next week for more behind-the-scenes stories, laughs, and operatic gold coming your way.